Hi there. Today we're going to be looking at O, R, U, and N. Okay? So let's have a look. You've got L like late, R like rate, U like wait, and N like Nate. Okay? So these are sounds that are typically mixed up by a lot of different people who speak different languages. Okay? So first of all, let's look at the difference between L and R. Okay? So a lot of English learners, particularly Japanese and Korean learners of English, for instance, have trouble with L and R. So let's look at the difference of how to actually pronounce those two sounds. Okay? So L is pronounced, I'll show you. I'll have to raise my head a little bit. With the tongue raised like this. Late. Oh. So if you imagine this being your mouth, okay, it has to actually be touching the little ridge behind your teeth, the alveolar ridge. That's how you make late. To go late, late. Okay. On the other hand, for R, it's like this. There's lip rounding, depending on the vowel afterwards. Okay. Okay. But the tongue doesn't actually touch the ridge. Okay. It would actually be like this. So that's O, and that's R. So you can see my mouth, right? Late, rate. Okay, and then for many, let's say Cantonese speakers, they may sometimes confuse and ru. So you see that's rate with the tongue raised and curled back, but you don't have that for W. The tongue is at the back. That's wait. And for some speakers of Southern Chinese dialects, they have trouble with N and L. So what's the difference between L and N? Okay, well the tongue is in the same place, right? So maybe you can see. L, N, L, N. My tongue is in the same place. What's the difference? The difference is for L, the air just goes out through my mouth. Okay? But for N, it goes through here. Okay? So you could feel it if you take your fingers and you put them on your nose. So here you can feel that there's no air actually going through your nose for L. Okay? So it's late, late. But you can actually feel the air vibrating through your nose for here. Nate, Nate. So for N, it's called a nasal sound because you have air going through your nose. So that's late and Nate. And then another problem for a lot of English learners, very, very many languages like Russian, Arabic, Spanish, etc. They have what's called a trilled R. English doesn't have it except for maybe Scottish English. It's like this. Okay, so they might say rate, rate. So in standard English, there is no R like that. Okay, so what they're doing is they're touching their tongue. Okay, so imagine this aside, and it would be vibrating. It would be going rate. But we don't actually do that. Okay, we go rate, rate. Unlike in Chinese you would actually have no lip rounding for the R, so they might say sometimes something like rate. But you need to have a little bit of lip rounding. It's rate, rate. Okay? So let's look at some more contrasts. Okay, so for number 2, we've got lead. Notice my tongue's up here. Lead, lead. Okay? I've got red, red. A little bit of lip rounding, red, okay? And the tongue doesn't touch the roof of my mouth. Red, okay? And then remember, if you're one of those speakers who has a trilled R, like Russian, Arabic, blah, 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 okay? Don't say red. Red is wrong in English, okay? And then if you're a Cantonese speaker, so that's wed. See, wed, red, red, wed. And then for Southern Chinese dialects, so lead, ned. Put your fingers here. Lead, ned, ned. Okay? And remember, you can always use a mirror, okay, to demonstrate many of the sounds, to see some of the sounds. Okay, let's look at a few more contrasts, okay? Here there is light, okay, light, and look at my lips, right, right, so my tongue isn't touching the alveolar ridge, okay? And remember, for those speakers who have the trilled R, like Spanish, Russian, etc., it's not right, but right. And if you're Chinese, remember, it's not right, it's right, okay? Cantonese speakers, okay, there's the difference. See, right, white, right, white. Southern Chinese dialects, light, light, night, night. Okay, the air goes through the nose for night. Okay, and let's look at one more contrast. Okay, you've got lead, lead. See my tongue touching the alveolar ridge? Lead. Okay? Read, read, read. Lip rounding? Read. And the tongue doesn't touch the alveolar ridge. It's curled up. Read. Okay? And for those people with the trilled R, okay, it's not read, read, it's read, okay? Cantonese speakers, okay, so read, weed, read, weed. And Southern Chinese dialects, okay, we've got lead, no air, lead, and then need. Put your fingers here, need. And you should feel the air going through your nose, okay? Need. Okay, let's look at some more contrasts. Some people have trouble with L and R if it's after another consonant. I've noticed that some Cantonese speakers, and I believe possibly some Korean speakers, possibly Japanese, I'm not sure, would have trouble with distinguishing between L and R after a consonant. So you see here, that's blink, see, bull, bull. Sorry, wrong word. This is bleed, bleed, okay? And this is breed, breed, breed. So you see there's a little bit of lip rounding here. Breed, breed. Whereas here, you don't see the lip rounding, right? Bleed, bleed, okay? So let's see if you can hear the difference. Okay, I'll say one of these two words, and you think to yourself which word I actually said. Breed, breed. I said this one, breed. Okay, now let's look at another contrast. Okay, that's blink, blink, okay, and that's brink. You see? Bull, bull, and brr, brr. So blink and brink. Okay, listen again to see which word I actually said. Blink, blink. I said this one here. blink. See? Bull. Okay, a couple of more examples. Blue. 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 Brew. You see that? Brr, brr. Blue, blue, brr, brr. So with the R, the air will escape through the front, but for blue, it escapes out through the sides. Okay? See? Blue, blue, brew. Okay? So listen again. I'll say one of these two words, and you think to yourself which word I actually said. Blue. Blue. I said this one here. Blue. Okay, one more. Okay. Play. See? Pull. Pull. Play. And pray. Pray. Purr. Pray. Okay? So listen again to see which word I said. Pray. Pray. I said this one here. I said pray. Okay? You notice how I have the lip rounding. Purr. Purr. Pull. Purr. Okay? I said pray. Okay? Okay, let's do another type of difficulty. Okay, another type of difficulty would be typical amongst all Chinese speakers. Okay, so if you look at this one here, so it's pill, pill, okay? So a Chinese speaker would often say a W type sound. They would say pew, pew. That's wrong. No English speaker will say pew, okay? It's pill, see? Pill, not pew, okay? So if you're Chinese, what can you do to practice to make it a little easier? You can add a little vowel. So you could say like pillar or pilly. I don't know if that's a word, but anyway. So if it's at the beginning of the syllable, Chinese speakers don't have problems, but at the end, after the vowel, that's when the Chinese speakers have trouble with L, usually, okay? So it's pill, not pew, okay? Another example, feel, feel, not few, that's wrong, it's feel, feel, ooh, feel, okay? Okay, another contrast. Okay, male, that's right. Male, no, that's wrong. Male is wrong. Male, okay? So to make it easier, let's say mailing. Okay, like male plus ing, mailing, mail, mailing, mail, okay? Okay, here, sail, sail, that's right. Sail is wrong, not sail, sail, okay? So sailing, sailing, you can do that for practice. Sailing, sail, okay? And another relevant difference is R at the end. Okay, now this is where English dialects are different from each other, okay? Now if you were to speak most English dialects or dialects somewhat similar to English and pronunciation like Australian English, New Zealand English, South African English, blah, 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 you would actually not pronounce the R. Okay, you would make the vowel longer. So an English speaker, for instance, would say pear, pear. You notice there's no R, okay, but they're making the vowel a little longer. Okay, but Canadian speakers don't say that, and neither do most Americans, although some do, like for example in the Boston area, okay? So Canadian speaker and most Americans would say pear, 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 okay? Here's another one. Okay, so in Canadian and most American English dialects, it's tear, 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 okay? And te, te would be like English, Australian English, blah, blah, blah. Okay, a couple more. North American English, it's more, more, more. English, Australian English, New Zealand English, blah, blah, blah. It's more, more. Okay, more, more. Okay? Okay, North American English, far, far. We pronounce the R in North. Obviously you can tell I speak North American English. Far, okay? English, fa, fa, okay? So both far and fa are okay. It just depends which regional dialect you're trying to imitate, okay? Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching.